Good afternoon, everybody. Hello. My name's Chris Cotterill, and I'm the UK Business Development Manager for the Institute of the Motor Industry. And I'm here this afternoon to talk to you about investing in your professionalism. Now, what you will have seen from wandering around the show is that the industry is going through a really big transition at the moment. We're moving away from the traditional automotive sector that we've known for a long time into what's been termed as the mobility sector. And within that transition are four key areas. So imagine the acronym ACES, so autonomous, connected, electric, and shared mobility and mobility services. So under autonomous, today we've got ADAS, and there's lots of examples of ADAS recalibration systems and how important it is specifically for the accident repair sector, because as an industry driver, which I'll touch on later, that Thatcham and the insurance industry have been working on. Tomorrow, that will be greater degrees of autonomy as we move away from ADAS systems into greater autonomous systems, particularly around the inner cities where there's pedestrianised areas with autonomous pods taking you the last mile of your journey, for example. So we will see greater degrees of autonomy. And it's really important that you guys stay abreast, just like James was just saying in the previous conversation. You guys investing in your knowledge, staying up to date is really, really important. And our job as a professional body for the sector is to make sure that we've got development solutions in place for you guys to take advantage of in line with this transitional shift in technology. We've also, in the future, and in fact today, we've got connected vehicles. So the acronym V2X means vehicles connected to everything. So we already have examples of over-the-air updates for vehicles now, and vehicles connected to your home entertainment system. So, hey Alexa, turn my home lights on from your car. You know, that's a thing today. But connected vehicles will be greater in the future as we roll out better mobile connectivity networks. We will have vehicles connected to the traffic infrastructure, to the city, connected to each other, connected to pedestrians, and the amount of data that will be held within the car and personal data owned by the person who drives that vehicle will be really crucial to. So we'll be keeping an eye on how that evolves and make sure that we've got standards and qualifications in place to support whatever that future looks like. Now, the previous talk you had was, is electric the future? And there's a couple of really valid points that would make you question whether it is, but certainly for the here and now, there's a clear shift into some form of electrification, whether that be battery powered or hydrogen fuel cell powered. The vehicle propulsion systems are electric, so it's really key that you guys gear up, invest in training, invest in knowledge for yourselves to be able to service whatever proportion of work you get through your workshops as EVs. Mobility as a service, car ownership, traditional car ownership is changing. People will be subscribing to mobility providers for their mobility needs and buying from a fleet company that may hire a vehicle for 100 days of the year. Rather than having a car sat on the drive when they're not using it, they will purchase their mobility as and when they need it. And people that do want to own a vehicle may not buy from their main dealer, they may buy direct from a manufacturer. So that whole model of dealerships may change in the future as well. So it's a really interesting dynamic shift. And a lot of it is driven through government policy. So all over the globe, there's a need to decarbonise transport, whether that be hydrogen, EV, whatever. It's important that we get rid of carbon from the atmosphere. So that document that you see on screen there is our government's pledge on how they're going to decarbonise transport and how we're going to be a global lead between now and 2050. There are key dates on how we're going to decarbonise all walks of transport, whether that be road, rail, air, sea, everything. And for the road, 2030 is clearly a key date where the sale of petrol and diesel only vehicles will be banned from the UK. In other parts of the country, so Scotland are all doing their own thing. In Wales, they've got their own policy, and in Northern Ireland, they have their own policy. So the devolved nations are all contributing in their own regions towards the government's main plan. So legislation is driving this technological evolution. Now, for those that were on the previous talk, you saw this information, and what James chose to focus on was the proportion of petrol vehicles. But if you actually look at the shift in battery electric vehicles, It's 88.3% up this year compared to last. So yes, there's an argument as to whether battery in itself is the future. It's certainly the here and now. You know, there is a massive shift into battery technology. So what impact is all of that change having on people, the individuals working within the sector? Well, it's significant. This data is taken from a report that our research department released last year, and it shows that in retail automotive, there's 682,000 people working in it. In manufacturing, there's around 163,000, so that's 846,000 people working in the retail automotive sector. And all of those individuals will need some form of development and training in line with this technology shift. Everyone sat in front of me now included in that. So it's a significant amount of people that will need some form of training. And if we look at employment opportunities, right now our industry has the biggest vacancy rate that it's had since this type of record keeping began. The graph on the left goes all the way back to 2002. We can see the COVID dip in vacancies, recruitment vacancies, and since then we can see that it's up sharply, and we've got over 23,000 vacancies within our sector at the moment. You could see that as an employment opportunity, or you could view it as a skills gap. Either way, you know, we need to bring lots of talent in apprenticeships into the industry and invest in training people from other sectors into our sector to fill those vacancies. And you can see that motor trades is one of the sectors with the most vacancies at the moment. So it's a significant issue for us that we need to fill. And if we focus in just on EV qualifications alone, so currently qualified people, if we continue to qualify people at the rate we are doing, that's the blue dotted line. The green solid line is the amount of electric vehicles likely to be on our roads over time. And we can see that we've got a crossover point in 2026, and from 27 onwards, we've got a skills gap, which by 2030, unless more training and development is invested in by garage owners, you know, sending their technicians on qualifications, we will have a skills gap of around 25,000 technicians just for EV competence by 2030. So it's really, really important that training and development is invested within. So what development solutions are there? Well, we've been working really hard with the industry and a sector advisory group which has been formed since 2019 to invest in something called IMI TechSafe. IMI TechSafe is an agreed industry minimum standard of competence for anything safety related, which at the moment includes electric vehicle competence and ADAS competence. Later this year, we've got a range of hydrogen qualifications also coming out, level 1, 2, 3, and 4, which will be added to the TechSafe, the professional register with TechSafe recognition. So we have a professional register which is publicly available of people with TechSafe recognition when they've achieved a relevant ADAS accreditation, qualification, or electric vehicle qualification. When we launched TechSafe, we've got industry support, so the SMMT called TechSafe a timely initiative, and that safety and duty of care should always be the priority of any initiative. And we've got some support of key government departments, so the Department for Transport, and within that, what was the Office for Low Emissions Vehicles is now the Office for Zero Emissions Vehicles. They support TechSafe and what we're trying to achieve. And the Department for Transport Minister at the time said that today's launch of TechSafe is a crucial step in providing electric car buyers with the assurance they need towards achieving a zero emissions future. So government recognise that people competence and the skill of the people within the sector is an important component of them achieving a decarbonised future for transport. So you guys are an important cog in the machine. So we've worked with the sector over many years. Since 2010, we've had electric and hybrid vehicle qualifications. The latest iteration of them is what you see on screen. So we've got a level 1 awareness qualification aimed at anybody working in the sector that needs awareness of electric and hybrid vehicles. Great for anybody that might be a customer service advisor, a driver, a valeter, you know, anybody that's not necessarily a technical person. We've got 2 level 2s, one aimed specifically at recovery services and the blue light sector, and it's all about managing hazards at the scene of either a breakdown or an accident at the side of the road. We've got a level 2 aimed at technicians, and it's all about being able to power down a high voltage system to then safely work on routine maintenance and repair of the non-high voltage system, and then power the vehicle up again afterwards. A level 3 aimed at technicians, which builds on that with the removal and replacement of a high voltage component. And a level 4, which is live diagnostic and repair of a system that's switched on. So I know James did say that in his previous presentation about a battery being a disposable item and therefore potentially the end of that vehicle. That's not necessarily the case. A battery unit can have individual cells diagnosed as the troubled ones. You can, with a level 4 qualification, open that battery up, replace those damaged cells, rebalance the battery, and put that battery back into service of the car. So, you know, a faulty battery isn't necessarily going to write a vehicle off, and those qualifications will open up more work opportunities for you, particularly as electric vehicles get older and outside of manufacturer's warranty, and customers are choosing their independent garages to service their needs outside of the dealers. As far as ADAS is concerned, in the marketplace today, we've got an ADAS accreditation. So that's a test of an individual's competence to recalibrate an ADAS system, 2 different types of sensors. To complement this, later this year, we've also got a level 2 and a level 3 ADAS qualification to sit alongside that accredited assessment. And TechSafe recognition is part of the IMI's professional register. So if you are, in the future, booking yourself onto an EV qualification, you can choose to opt into the professional register with complimentary IMI membership and be part of the TechSafe revolution. If you've previously achieved an IMI electric vehicle qualification all the way back to 2010, you can still be part of the professional register and TechSafe, and there's various different ways in which you can do that. So I'm on the IMI stand, which is just behind the eBay for Business stand just here. Come and talk to me afterwards, and I'd be very, very keen to show you on how you can do that if you're a retrospective qualification holder. I mentioned a little bit earlier that there's an industry driver in place for ADAS accreditations. So if you work in the accident repair sector and you're a British Standard 10125 body shop, it's likely that you'll be aware of something called the insurance industry requirements for the safe repair of ADAS-equipped vehicles. So this is Thatcham and the insurance industry working together to mandate a minimum standard of competence in people and equipment and auditability of a repair of a vehicle that's had an ADAS system worked on or recalibrated as a result of an accident. The skill of the people section talks about inspection, calibration, realignment and road tests shall be carried out by a currently competent person. And the way in which you prove your current competence is by having an ADAS accredited assessment certification, because it lasts for 3 years. Okay, so it's important if you work in the accident repair sector to get the right qualification, the right credentials to prove that you're currently competent to help your body shop meet this requirement. So if we look at the TechSafe process, it starts with an employer identifying a training need. There's a gap in either their knowledge or a member of their staff's knowledge. Quite often, it's sensible to invest in e-learning prior to going to do a formal piece of training and qualification. If you've got no knowledge at all, it's sensible to invest in some e-learning to get your knowledge to a point where you're better equipped to make the most of the training when you attend it. We have some e-learning solutions. There are lots out there. If you want to come and talk to me afterwards about what e-learning might suit you, we can have a conversation about that. So once you're prepared and happy to go along, book a qualification with one of the IMI approved training centres, of which there are many. We offer these globally, but in the UK there's well over 120 IMI approved training centres that deliver that range of level 1 through to 4 qualifications. So use our website, call us, we'll point in the direction of the nearest approved training centre. So achieve the qualification after your training. It's not a given that you will achieve the qualification. You have to pass an assessment with an IMI approved assessor assessing your competence at the end of that qualification. But let's assume that you've done a good job and you pass the assessment. You will receive an email from us to opt in to membership and the professional register. Because of GDPR requirements, we can't automatically populate your personal details on there. You have to give us permission to do so. But it's a great place to showcase your credentials, your professionalism, and also your employer's details are on that register as well. So it's a good way of promoting the fact that your business is equipped to deal with your customers' EV vehicles. And the thing that the Sector Advisory Group wanted was to encourage the industry to keep up with their continued professional development. So it's a qualification onto the register, and to stay there, there's a 3-year cycle of mandatory continued professional development that you need to do to stay there. If you don't do that mandatory CPD, you fall off the register as a TechSafe technician. The CPD framework for electric vehicle is 18 hours of CPD over a 3-year cycle. We recommend 6 hours per year, covering all of those subjects that you see on screen there. So it's encouraging the industry to make sure that as technology adapts and evolves, so do your knowledge, skills, and behaviours around this type of technology. So qualification in, ongoing CPD thereafter. And at the end of that 3-year cycle, there'll be another CPD framework and a new set of requirements for you to stay on the register. So that will always be the case. For ADAS, because it's a smaller subject, there are 10 hours of CPD over 3 years, covering those subjects on screen there. So the industry is committing to doing the right thing by qualifying its people and investing in their continued professional development. I mentioned earlier that we've got an e-learning solution. We've formed a partnership with a German organisation called Vocanto, and giving IMI members and customers the access to really high quality e-learning. So if that's something that you'd like to speak about, come and talk to anybody on the IMI stand. And to equip IMI approved training centres, another partnership that we've formed is with an organisation called Lucas Nuller. And Lucas Nuller produce the highest quality components, training rigs, and software and training programs for the delivery of EV qualifications. So if you go to one of our approved training centres, you may be working on some of this equipment during that qualification. You don't have to, they can use vehicles as well, but this is one way of learning safely on a rig which isn't live EV voltage. So from a training perspective, it makes an awful lot of sense. So we've got a full wraparound solution in place with a global set of approved training providers, and it's ready for you to take advantage of. So I'd like you to consider what James said earlier, that EV will be a part of the future. It may not be all of the future, and you as business owners and technicians need to decide how much of your business will be EV or not. But the solutions are there to make sure that you're trained and equipped to deal with whatever that future might look like. And yeah, I'd love to come for you to come and talk to us later. And thank you. I'm open to any questions that anybody's got in the audience right now. If not, then come and see me on the IMI stand.